let's just take Super Bowl Sunday, okay? It's going to affect beer, okay? Most of it, Corona here, comes from Mexico. It's going to affect your guac, because what is guacamole made of? Avocados, both from Mexico.
Yet at the point that they are trying to get it to, and we said, you know what, let's have her live at our house above our garage. And good luck to the feds coming in to try to get her.
Vote for two candidates of any gender on the next ballot. Okay? So on this next ballot, you will be able to vote for two candidates of any gender on the next ballot. If two candidates receive, I'm going to turn to Helen to clarify this last part.
You are in this next ballot where you have two votes. As the chair has said, you may vote for two females, two of any gender. Nope, you can't do that because we've got the balance. You could vote for one of the gender. No, non-binary gender, excuse me. It is late, okay?
China's running the Panama Canal. That was not given to China, that was given to Panama foolishly, but they violated the agreement, and we're going to take it back, or something very powerful is going to happen.
Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum, the two sides agreeing to pump the brakes on the tariffs and then retaliatory tariffs that Mexico promised for the period of a month while they work out the terms of an agreement. The Mexican president just posted some of the details. Mexico is going to immediately send 10,000 members of the National Guard to prevent drug trafficking from Mexico to the United States, particularly fentanyl. Also, she says the U.S. is going to work with Mexico to prevent the trafficking of high-powered weapons.
You're tuned in to Chris's World, a daily podcast covering the controversial topics of today through a conservative, patriotic lens. Tune in every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for Chris's World, only on X.
What a news week, right?
Let's get started.
Alrighty, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here. It is Monday. It is February 3rd. Monday, February 3rd. What a news weekend. What a Monday it has been. Wow, we've got a lot to talk about. We're going to get right on into things here tonight. This is what we got on the agenda. Well, first, I've got two special guests joining this evening. We're going to talk to Maurice, the native patriot from Patriot's Prayer, and then we'll be talking with Dan Nunn, the one and only, the great Dan Nunn, host of the Nunn Report. Awesome patriot, awesome two sets of patriots right there that we're going to have on tonight. So stick around to hear from those fellas. It's going to be good stuff. But here's what we're discussing. So we've got this trade war. Not really a trade war, is it? Canada and Mexico both bending the knee as we knew they would. At the end of the day, here's the deal. There's nothing more powerful than the American consumer. If you've been tuning into this show, I've said that at least once every show for the past week now or more. But we'll discuss that in some depth. Mexico's response, Canada's response. There's some stuff on Zelensky that came out. Zelensky says he only received about 70 million of the 170 million, 70 billion out of the 170 billion. Whoa, I replaced the M with a B, right? We're talking billions of dollars, billions. That is some crazy stuff. Where did that money go? Why is it not being audited? Do you see why people were so frustrated with the really what has been endless spending, the endless writing of the check and sending it over to Ukraine? No need to audit. You saw the Pentagon just last year, they fucked up by like $2 billion. They misclassified they misvalued what they were sending over there by $2 billion. So there's some serious issues. And now even Zelensky is sounding the alarm. He says, hello, look, everybody's talking about 170 billion. We only got 70. So we'll talk about that in some depth as well. USAID, US aid. Wow. 97% of all political contributions from USAID went to Democrats. Caroline Levitt just came out about 2 hours ago highlighting the fraud involved with USAID. US aid. I don't know really what you want to call it, but whatever we're going to call it, we're going to highlight it. Marco Rubio is now going to be at the helm, and hopefully we can get that straightened out. Doge doing a lot of good work as well, doing their thing. We're saving billions of dollars. There was 104 different contracts that Doge canceled out, totaling $1 billion in saving. We're just, 2-3 weeks in here. So look, this team is pumping like a well-oiled machine. DEI contracts, we'll talk about that a little bit. And then we have some other stuff as well. So big show. Thank you for being here. Live with Chris's World every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Live on X, live on Rumble as well. This show begins right now. All right, so here's what we're going to touch on tonight. First, we're going to look at this quote-unquote trade war a little bit. So I started off with saying you have to understand why tariffs are always going to work for us. Anyway, the reason is because there is nothing more powerful than the American consumer. Now, you could add context in over detail the situation and try to make reasons and hypotheticals on why prices may go up and and all of that may be true if the other country is trying to play hardball. But you see, that's just the thing. If they're trying to play hardball. Now, of course, it sounds like they're trying to play hardball when they act all rough and tough. But when it comes down to the phone call with Donald Trump, they will bend the knee. Why? Because there's nothing more powerful than the American consumer. They need us more than we need them. So let's talk about this a little bit in some depth. Here is, first, let me show you this because I think this is kind of key to what we're talking about before we go into details. So Mexico exports to the U.S. a percentage of 35% of their GDP. Canada exports to the U.S. percentage of their GDP, 22%. The U.S. exports to Canada 1.5% of our GDP. U.S. exports to Mexico 1.2% of our GDP. So when I tell you this is the reason why they are not going to play hardball, because they need us more than we need them. They know that. We know that. Now, of course, you could turn on left-wing legacy media like Morning Joe. You could turn on Anderson Cooper, whoever whoever it might be, and they can talk their shit. But at the end of the day, the facts are it's never, ever going to get to a point that they're talking about anyway, simply because it can't, or their economies crash and crash and burn. We're talking about a third of their economies. All right, let me play this video here for you. and we can talk about this in a little bit more depth. We'll be having the native patriot Maurice on for this topic in just a couple of minutes. But let's watch this video, or at least a little bit of it.
The breaking news of the day is on tariffs, and we just have word that the Mexican president spoke to Donald Trump, and they are going to pause the tariffs on Mexico for 1 month. And Jackie Heinrich is standing by at the White House with more on this development. Hi, Jackie.
Good morning, Dana. Yeah, that was pretty short-lived. The president spoke with Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum, the two sides agreeing to pump the brakes on the tariffs and then retaliatory tariffs that Mexico promised for the period of a month while they work out the terms of an agreement. The Mexican president just posted some of the details. Mexico is going to immediately send 10,000 members of the National Guard to prevent drug trafficking from Mexico to the United States, particularly fentanyl. Also, she says the U.S. is going to work with Mexico to prevent the trafficking of high-powered weapons to Mexico, something that Mexico hit back at when President Trump was threatening these tariffs was they were calling on the U.S. to curb the flow of guns from the U.S. down to the cartels. Sheinbaum says the two teams are going to begin working today on two fronts, security and trade. And
so as you can see, Mexico understands exactly what we're talking about. Now, you might ask yourself, well, so how do countries avoid even getting tariffed in the first place? Well, one is you wouldn't need tariffs or the threat of tariffs if there was an even playing field. We have been ripped off. We saw the deficit numbers, over $100 billion with Mexico, over $40 billion to Canada. We're talking about a large sum of money. What do they do for us? Meanwhile, and then you could look at Europe as well. I don't mean to just tangent, but how many Fords and Chevys do you see driving around Berlin? That's a problem, right? So it isn't just Mexico. It isn't just Canada. We're talking about a global issue here. It's like a phenomenon. How much can we rip off the United States? That has to come to an end. So let me get back to, so how could you avoid tariffs? We talk about the Berlin and the Chevys and the Fords. Well, here's a pickup truck analogy for you. Let me make sure that I get this right. Lyndon B. Johnson. So Lyndon B. Johnson in 1964 started tariffing pickup trucks. This tariff still exists today. So if you were going to make a pickup truck like Toyota and ship it over here to the United States, you'd have a 25% tariff. Well, Toyotas still get built. So how does this manufacturing and the sale, what happens? Well, they manufacture it in the United States using U.S. employment, which is good. Make your shit here. Make your shit here. So Chuck Schumer kind of comes out and looks a little bit like a fool, if you ask me, because over the weekend, I saw this video. I don't know if I would necessarily say going viral, but it was certainly being reposted all over the place. I mean, it is hilarious. I think even Chuck Schumer knows how ridiculous he looks and sounds.
Let's just take Super Bowl Sunday, okay? It's going to affect beer, okay? Most of it, Corona here, comes from Mexico. It's going to affect...
Hold on. Okay. What was it? Is it, what's the episode or the teacher in that cartoon, like South Park, is it? Okay. But he knows how ridiculous he sounds. This Corona here, okay? And these
your guac.
Guac.
Because what is guacamole made of? Avocados, both from Mexico.
The guy is an absolute clown. But I'm saying he's a clown, and I would have said that he's a clown regardless of this happening or not. But now that he's done that, that's gone viral, if we call it viral, and now Mexico bends the knee in the fashion that they do, it just makes Chuck Schumer look that much more stupid. Like, he has no idea what's going on in the Oval. He's like, I don't know, I'm out of touch. I have got no... Like, if he knew, he wouldn't have embarrassed himself like that if he knew Trump was about to land this deal. So all I'm trying to say is, you can't trust legacy media. You can't trust congressional Democrats. You can't trust congressional Republicans either. The ones that you can trust, you know who they are. But I want to bring in Maurice, co-founder of the Patriots Prayer Network. And Maurice is a great patriot, very well known all over the place, very popular on X. And I want to get his thoughts on this whole trade war in Mexico, Canada, bending the knee. So we're going to be bringing in Maurice, the native patriot. Hey, brother, what's going on, Maurice?
Well, I'm doing quite well, man. It's been a while. It's good to hear from you.
It's been a while, man. It's great to see you. First and foremost, how are things? How are things over at the Patriot Prayer Network?
It's going pretty well. We're actually going to CPAC here in the next couple of weeks. We got a spot on Media Row, so we'll be interviewing a bunch of bigwigs. I'll feel a little out of place. I know you kind of fluffed me up there saying that I'm, popular and well known, but
you are.
I'm just a small town guy, man. I'd come from a town of 2,500 people and started speaking out because I love this country and wanted to do everything in my power to help fix it.
That's the beauty of it, though, Maurice. You're a small town guy. You work hard. You put out your thoughts, and they're great thoughts, obviously, because people relate to it. They reshare your stuff, and that's the beauty of X and these social media platforms. If you use it right, you're authentic, genuine, and genuinely putting out a good message, people gravitate towards you. And I think that's what's happened in your case and for your whole team. So, Maurice, I want to talk to you a little bit about this trade war. Not really much of a trade war anymore, is it, my friend?
No, it's not. And I think the fascinating part about witnessing what's happening is that masculinity has been it's been lacking from our society for so long that now that we have someone like Donald Trump coming in to kind of assert his authority and use the authority that the United States has in a trade war like this, because everybody has always wanted to capitulate and bend the knee to these other countries and, we should be helpful and we should give them aid and do all of these things. But now Donald Trump is coming in and saying, no, this isn't how we need to play this, you guys. We've been allowing all of these other countries to take advantage of us for a long time. We're $36 trillion in debt for a reason. We've been capitulating for too long. It's time to put our foot down and demand that all of these other countries earn their keep. All of these other countries earn their spot in the global conversation, because I really like what you brought up about pickup trucks and how there's no Chevys and Fords being driven around in Berlin.
Right.
America is supposed to have a large influence on the world, but the only influence that we've really seen for the past couple of decades is the depraved sexual nature of the Hollywood industry being passed around the world, to where everybody now just thinks that Americans are a bunch of fat, lazy slobs that watch porn all day. And that's kind of what we've become. So,
well, unfortunately, Maurice, half of the Americans, I mean, look at the Democrat Party, white dudes for hair, to a certain extent, half of them are.
Yes, and that's why they're so shocked by the masculinity, by Trump asserting his will. They're really taken aback by it. And in all reality, this is what should have been done a long time ago. And now it has to kind of happen in rapid succession because obviously Trump lost time back in 2020 when he lost the election. So now he's got to kind of make up ground because the Biden-Harris regime did some detrimental damage to our relationship and our status around the world.
It's you don't want to say what was done over the last 4 years is not repairable. I mean, I certainly think it is. I think Trump has hit the ground running, but they caused a lot of wreckage, not to mention what he did on his way out the door as well. I mean, that's a whole nother tangent. But I mean, just to our point, I want to flash this back on the screen again one more time. This is the percentage of GDP based on exports for Mexico. I talked about it a little bit before I brought you on, but Mexico is exporting 35% of their GDP to the United States, Canada 22%. Meanwhile, we're not even over 1.5% respectively for both of them. So I titled tonight's show something along the lines of it's time for the United States to get even again. And I don't mean that in a way, because I get that has a negative connotation to it, but I don't mean that in a negative way. What I mean is fairness isn't bringing down the American people, because really what happens is it's the taxpayers that are getting ripped off. And I think that everybody's tired of it. And that is the mandate in which we speak of when we refer to the mandate that the people gave Donald Trump. Trump ran on all of this. He ran on creating an even playing field again for America in regards to the rest of the world. Why have we given Ukraine $200 billion almost? Meanwhile, the runner-up is what? Not even half that? It's a serious issue. But hey, so Maurice, so you see what happens with, I want to bring this post back up with Trump. So are you surprised to see the president of Mexico bend the knee as fast as she did, given the numbers that we just put up? I mean, I'm not surprised at all. But when you turn on legacy media, they tell you something else. But what was your thoughts as this was all developing throughout the weekend?
Well, there was a lot of tough talk from not just Mexico, but also Canada and various other countries at first, because they were used to the United States giving in. And I think one of the best ways, this may sound a little funny, but we just got a new dog. All right. So we have 3 90-pound dogs, all males, all unclipped. So they're full of testosterone and they could run the house if they wanted to. But in order to keep the peace in my household, I have to be the one that steps in front of them and dictates what happens. I have to make them submit to me in order for this to work. And I feel like Donald Trump's kind of doing that with the countries around us right now, because all these countries around us have just been running around, tearing up the house. They've been chewing up the couch. They've been doing all of these things. And we've just been allowing it because it's like, well, we love the dogs. The dogs are nice. They're there. They keep us company. We can pet them. But now all of a sudden, Donald Trump comes back in and he says, okay, all this stuff isn't going to happen anymore. We need better living conditions for our people. So we need a nicer couch. We need to keep all of these things really nice. So instead of allowing the dogs to go and chew up the couch, or to, allow fentanyl into the country, killing hundreds of thousands of Americans, what he's going to do is he's going to step in front of the dog and he's going to demand that they submit to him. And that's what's happening. Like, with the 2 shepherds that I got a half shepherd, half husky. And the only way that I can get them to listen to me is if I'm alpha and I actually demand that they listen to me, right? I can't just expect that they're just going to do the right thing. And that's what we've kind of been allowing to happen for a long time. And I see Donald Trump as the strong man coming in and just saying, no, this is, you guys are going to heal, and this is how it's going to be done. So these tariffs are going to be imposed, and all of a sudden they start to feel the weight of the pressure exerted by Donald Trump, and then they submit. And it doesn't take long, because it is what it is. They need us a lot more than we need them.
No, 100%. And the analogy that you gave is really spot on. At the end of the day, there always has to be a voice of reason. If there isn't a voice of reason in the room, things are going to get chaotic. And when things get chaotic, they're no longer manageable. Peace isn't sustainable, and society perishes. So there has to be a voice of reason. And for the last 4 years, most Americans will confidently look at you and say, I don't think that we had a voice of reason. I don't think we had a leader. I don't think we had a president over the last 4 years. You look at the way that Donald Trump is addressing the media, signing executive orders, simultaneously answering questions on several different occasions. You look at the way that Caroline Leavitt is handling herself and addressing the questions that are asked of her in the White House press secretary briefings. These people are professionals, and they are frying the media's eyes and ears. It's almost like information overload. You can see it in the room, like in the White House press briefing room. But we got transparency, common sense, and action back in the White House, and it feels pretty damn good, Maurice. I got to tell you.
It really does. And I actually feel like this is the first time where the American people have been represented in a presidency in my lifetime. So I was born in 91, and as far as I can tell, every president that's been in office, even Donald Trump in 2016, although his intentions were good, I don't think he understood the depth of the bureaucratic state that was against him and how well they were able to throttle all of his ideas. So he came in this time swinging and prepared. And I think that this is the first time where we're actually going to see on on behalf of the American people, a president fight for them against this entity that is now the U.S. government, because it is not a representation of the people like it was supposed to be. It's become its own entity. It's become completely separate from the people. Our government's supposed to be by the people, of the people, for the people, and it is so far removed from that it is so hard to even comprehend the amount of laws and backroom deals that are going on behind the scenes. I mean, Doge just came out. They just came out and showed today that they were spending tens of thousands and tens of millions of dollars on DEI studies in Saudi Arabia and transgender books in Peru. What?
Yep. Yeah, we just Doge just canceled 104 different contracts, totaling over $1 billion. So I haven't looked at it in depth yet. I actually have the post that I'll break down here in a little bit. But yeah, dude, it really is insane. And to your point about in Trump's first term, it's almost a blessing in disguise that he lost in 2020, because if he were to have won, who knows what the situation we are in now. We're definitely not in this situation, but you don't have RFK Jr., you don't have Tom Homan, you don't have Pete Hegseth, you don't have Tulsi Gabbard, you won't have Kash Patel in the position that he's going to be going into. So really, we have an amazing, I don't know if I want to call it bench, but man, our roster runs very deep, and the Democrats are absolutely doomed. I mean, all they have is that skinny little queer kid, David Hogg, who, just got the position that he got. I'll talk about that a little bit. And you saw how they can't figure out what the hell their rules are on gender either. But the Democrats are doomed. I want to end with this.
No, keep going. They need to keep doing it. They need to.
Yeah, true,
they're doing exactly what they should be doing, because you know what? They can't get rid of those people. And they still ended up electing 2 straight white men, right?
Yeah, and that's a good point. They are 2 straight white men. I want to end here with these last 2 things, Maurice. So, just in regards to the response that Mexico had. So, Secretary Hegseth, Tom Homan arrived at the Mexico border. This post coming from Nick Sorter. But it's nice to see. Again, we have leaders in there who are boots on the ground. You saw the same thing with Kristi Noem not too long ago. We also have this coming just recently, a couple of hours ago. U.S. Air Force intelligence aircraft have entered Mexican airspace after Mexico agreed to cooperate in fighting the cartels. Practically unheard of. Pete Hegseth sent a warning to the cartels saying all operations are on the table. What is the rest of this post? Let's just see this. President Trump demanded 100% operational control of the border, and Hegseth is delivering. So, I mean, dude, we're getting results. We're not even 20 days into this thing. I guess closing thoughts really on all this, Maurice, if you would. It's really good. There's a lot of bad, but to see them address it head on is refreshing to me.
I think one of the most reassuring parts about this is to know that we're still a capable, competent people. And that just because we've had leaders in positions that have been hamstringing the American people and the American culture for a long time doesn't mean that the spirit of freedom has gone away. There's a reason Donald Trump was elected. There's a reason that all of these people have been put in the positions that they're in, and they're going to do everything in their power to fix the wrongs that have been happening to the American people. And that's why they're clamping down on the border right now. That's why they're clamping down on these books. That's why they actually want they're enacting change, because the people are we've been taken advantage of for far too long. And now we have representatives in there that are representing the will of the people and fighting for us. And I'm very grateful for it, and I'm glad to see that we are not completely hamstrung and screwed, because this sure as heck felt like a last hope, a last ditch effort by the American people to get our country back.
It did, man. It did. It feels good to know that we are fixing the mess that the previous administration created. And really, I mean, you could look at the disaster even before that. I mean, Trump was only in there for 4 years and can barely get anything done. But that's neither here nor there. We're making progress, Maurice, and it's really good. And dude, it was really good having you on the show again. I'm not going to let that much time ever go by again without getting you on here. My God, because it was a pleasure. We had so much. Where did we in Detroit at the Turning Point, at the People's Convention, Turning Point Action?
Yeah.
We had.
We're going to have to do that again.
Is there one happening this year? I'm sure there is, right?
I would imagine so. I haven't seen an invite yet, though. So
me neither.
We'll see.
We'll see. We'll stay in touch for sure.
Yes,
Maurice,
thank you for having me on, Chris. I really appreciate it. This has been awesome. It's really good to talk to you.
It is, man. It's an absolute pleasure. Love having you on. You're a great dude, great patriot, always being a voice for the American people. Make sure that you guys are following Native Patriot at LA Native Patriot. Maurice, thank you very much for coming on, brother.
Thanks for having me on, man.
Absolutely. All right. So make sure you guys are following Maurice, the Native Patriot. Really appreciate it. If you follow him, follow his content, him and Eddie with the Patriot's Prayer. Good dudes there. So really good stuff. Great conversation. My God. All right. We're going to move on to some other topics. We will talk about very quickly Zelensky and how come Zelensky has only received 50% of the money that we've sent him. So who's lying here? Where'd this money go? Is Zelensky lying? Like who do you even start to believe? Like who should you believe? Should we believe our Congress that we sit here and point the finger at 24/7? Or should we believe Zelensky, who seems to just come over here, knock, knock, trick or treat, open bag, and he just takes all the candy and leaves? I don't even know who I want to believe. I have no idea. And then we have the USAID, USAID. So I'm going to bring Dan Nunn in for those topics in just a second, but I'm going to take a quick break, about 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Dan Nunn will be joining me on the show, and we'll be talking about a whole lot of good stuff that you're not going to want to miss. Stay tuned. Joe Biden. Joe Biden pardons Anthony Fauci, Mark Milley, J6 committee members, including Liz Cheney. Check this out. This is what I'm reading here. What a disgrace. Here we have, so let's read this post coming from Colin Rugg. 20 minutes before leaving office, while he was in the rotunda at the Capitol, President Biden pardoned his family, his last act as president. This is his last act as president. Why do you need to pardon people if they did nothing wrong? The Biden crime family was never just a slogan. It's the truth. Again, I want to give Colin Rugg credit. Post coming from Colin Rugg. Absolutely true. Here is who avoids justice thanks to Biden. James Biden, Sarah Jones Biden, Valerie Biden Owen, John T. Owen, Francis Biden, Dr. Anthony Fauci, General Mark Milley, Liz Cheney, Adam Schiff, Adam Kinzinger, other members and staff of the J6 committee. Guys, how it's blatant. These people still need to be investigated, even if they can't be charged fine. I want to know, because we still need accountability. And although we might not be able to hold them accountable in the court of law, people still need to know the truth. We do.
You're tuned in to Chris's World, a daily podcast covering the controversial topics of today through a conservative, patriotic lens. Tune in every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for Chris's World, only on
Дивіться, я коли чую, і раніше чув, і сьогодні ми чуємо від Сполучених Штатів Америки, що Америка дала Україні сотні мільярдів, 177, якщо сказати більш точно. Така звучала точна цифра, яку підтримували або голосував Конгрес, тощо різні організації. Дивіться, я як президент воюючої країни вам говорю, ми отримали більше 75. Тобто 100 мільярдів з цих 177 або 200, говорять навіть деякі люди, ми ніколи не отримували. І це важливо. Бо ми говоримо...
What? You mean to tell me that you're missing $100 billion, Zelensky? Is that what we're actually here? Like, okay, I don't really even know how to start addressing something like that because I don't believe any of the parties that are involved. That's my issue with this whole thing. Hopefully Dan Nunn can help me figure it out. We're bringing in Dan Nunn, host of the Nunn Report, right now. Oh, Mr. Dan Nunn, what's going on, brother?
What's happening, brother? Man, I didn't understand a word he said. It was all like some sort of Eastern Cyrillic shit. I didn't get it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what language he's speaking their language over there, and they had it translated at the bottom. So they say he's missing. He only received, he says, 76 billion out of the 177 billion that Congress has voted or pledged over there. Dan, who do you believe in all this?
Who do I believe? I mean, certainly not him. I don't believe the Biden regime. We know what happened to the money. I mean, the Ukraine is not it's not a democracy. We're certainly not protecting that. You want to talk oligarchy? I mean, Bernie Sanders loves to talk about that. So do all those other extreme commie Democrats.
How they say how it's a democracy, but the number one thing in a democracy would be a president or a leader that's actually voted into power, and he stopped their election because of this quote unquote war that's happening. So that is funny how they refer to Ukraine as a democracy,
right? We're not protecting democracy. If I were to say, hey man, there's this country in Europe that has a leader who has suspended elections, abolished a religion, banned books, and arrested people of the press and the political opposition. Would you say that was a democracy, or would you say that was a dictatorship?
Dude, you're talking my language. I'm telling you, it really is sad, the gross misunderstanding. And of course, the whole thing that happens in the Middle East is another gross misunderstanding as well. But I don't know. I like to think that people are waking up and starting to see the light, Dan, but I'm also not too convinced either. I mean, enough to win us an election, but hopefully we could sustain this. So what do you think Trump's plans are in regards to ending this whole war? Like, if you had to, does he just, I'll let you answer. What do you think his tactic is going to be, his approach with getting this thing resolved?
I mean, it's going to be what I've said it was from the beginning. That was land for peace. There's no exception around that. There's no way to navigate that. Putin is not going to just leave all of Eastern Ukraine. He's not going to leave Crimea. And Zelensky and Ukraine are going to have to face the fact that, you know what, your country is going to be smaller. I think that's the only way it ends peacefully and the only way it ends quickly. If you have, I mean, think about it. 10 years ago, we orchestrated, our CIA orchestrated a coup in Ukraine. Ukraine government was basically carpet bombing the Donbass region and Eastern Ukraine because they labeled them domestic terrorists. because they were loyal to Russia than they were to Ukraine. And so give it to them, man, if that's what it takes. And, this would have never started. Remember, Kamala Harris went back there in 2022 and said, she look, we want Ukraine to be part of NATO. What the hell was Russia supposed to do? That has been a red line. That's been a red line for decades. This is nothing new. And it's like we walked ourselves into a war because we were all out of wars. We were out of Afghanistan. We're out of Iraq. We're out of everywhere. And so, we need a new war. Let's go to fucking Ukraine. But we don't need to send our people there to do it. We'll just run a proxy war and enrich ourselves through the military industrial complex. The whole thing is so crooked. And if you want to know where that $100 billion went, it went into people's pockets. It went into their yachts. It went into their wives. It went into, I think Zelensky's full of shit. He knows damn well where that money went.
No, I'm with you 100%, man. It's really just such a shitty thing to have happened. Again, I was talking to Maurice right before you came on about the blessing in disguise that was Trump losing in 2020.
Yeah, I didn't know you had Maurice on earlier, man. That's cool, man. We should have jumped on together. That would have been fun.
I know, man. I was thinking about doing it, but at the same time, I was like, I like to have you guys to myself. I'm a little selfish as well. But yeah, Maurice is a great guy. But it really, because it is a blessing in disguise under the context that him and I were speaking about it in. But when you look at the gross mismanagement from our side, I mean, if we don't fund this war, this thing gets resolved 24 months ago.
Yeah. And that's, the funding is on hold. And exactly, if he didn't have our money to fight it with, our treasure, and the whole thing was disgusting. The fact that, hey, the justification is, hey, we're replenishing, we're giving them our old stuff. And then we're basically laundering money through Ukraine to replenish our stocks through the military industrial complex, who also donates to our campaigns. The thing is disgusting. It's grotesque. This is why you have people like Mitch McConnell, who was just a warmonger. Lindsey Graham, same thing. And this is at least Lindsey Graham finally came on and said he'd go for Tulsi Gabbard. I was thinking he might hold out because she's so anti-war and he's such a neocon.
I know.
And especially when it comes, he would like to go to war with Iran, for crying out loud.
Somebody else just came out and said that they were a yes on Tulsi.
Yes.
I can't remember who it is. We'll try to get it. But let's kick it over to this USAID. Is it USAID or USAID? I'm hearing both thrown around. I'm not too sure.
USAID? How about USAID? I hear that a lot too, but I think it's USAID.
USAID. So 97% of all political contributions from USAID, or USAID, went to Democrats. Let's look at this real quick. So here's Trump addressing it, and then I want to play this Caroline Levitt video afterwards, because man, she really tears the snakehead off.
What's going on there?
Well, it's been run by a bunch of radical lunatics, and we're getting them out. USAID. Run by radical lunatics, and we're getting them out, and then we'll make a decision.
And when you hear 97% of all contributions go to this USAID, that's kind of enough right there. Yeah, they're radical lunatics. So here's Caroline Levitt, and she's addressing the fraud.
And here's the reason why Elon Musk and others have been taking a look. Because if you look at the waste and abuse that has run through USAID over the past several years, these are some of the insane priorities that organization has been spending money on. $1.5 million to advance DEI in Serbia's workplaces, $70,000 for a production of a DEI musical in Ireland, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia, $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. I don't know about you, but as an American taxpayer, I don't want my dollars going towards this crap, and I know the American people don't either, and that's exactly what Elon Musk has been tasked by President Trump to do, to get...
Boom. Mic drop. Dan, your thoughts? What a load of shit that we were paying for.
On top of that, they've, Doge is basically said, I think it was Doge, only like 10% is the worst nonprofit ever, right? Because leave it to the government to completely mismanage anything that they touch. Everything they touch turns to shit. And like only 10% of those funds. So they're saying, 30,000 to this is what was on the books, or 30 million to this is what was on the books, but only 10% of that actually went to that action or whatever. I talked about it on today's show. And that was, you know what? Hey, if you leftist lunatics, they were out there protesting in front of the Capitol, and including members of Congress were out there with them. And I'm like, you know what? If you guys want to send your money overseas, if you want to go fund these projects and these humanitarian aid issues that you believe in, go ahead and write a fucking check. Send it to them. Don't take it out of my money, and certainly don't let our federal government manage it, because our federal government is the worst at managing anything. I mean, they're there to provide a national defense, infrastructure, highways, roads, that sort of thing. And then just get out of the way and let the private sector do what it does. If people want to fund this sort of thing, go ahead, write a check.
Well, so Dan, I mean, it is important, like, for any Democrat that may just be tuning in and watching this. And if you're somebody who is a Democrat that's tuning in and watching this, you're probably one that's not hard left. So take a good look at what's important to your party. And for the people that get up and actually are willing to go make some noise, no, they're not willing to go make some noise when Laken Riley gets killed. But where they are going to be willing to make some noise is when you take away transgender education for fucking Syria. So that's your party, Democrats. Those are your peers, your friends, your people. For some of you, your colleagues. That's fucking sad. Sad. But it's important for Democrats to know, hey, the age of the JF, and we and you talked about this a lot through the campaign. The age of the JFK Democrat has been dead for 20 plus years. It's gone. If you're somebody who votes blue, you've really got to look real long and hard at what's important to the leadership in the Democrat Party, because what's important to them, for 99% of Americans, what's important to the Democrat Party doesn't jive.
Well, and then look at how they treat their own. And this is nothing new. Well, it's relatively new. They used to kind of stick together and support their own. Look what they did to Bernie Sanders in 2016. Look what they did to Tulsi Gabbard. Look what they did to RFK Jr. These are people who were lifelong Democrats. The only people who have Bernie Sanders is a freaking Marxist. So of course he stuck around and he took one for the team. He's just going to sit there and get rammed in the ass every time they give it to him. Right. But Tulsi, and I'm sorry, is it that kind of show? Can I say that? But Tulsi and RFK, man, they were loyal Democrats. And the fact that they treated them the way they did, that's why they left, man. They've let their party be hijacked by a bunch of radicals, and they don't care. They seem to be content with, you mentioned earlier with Maurice, is, yeah, oh, how about this? The party of diversity, equity, and inclusion gets 2 white dudes. You said straight dudes, but I have questions about that with David Hogg. But you said 2 white dudes are leading their party now with the DNC. That's really, whoa, that's awfully diverse. Good job. They're so out of touch and so disconnected. They don't even understand why they lost. They don't understand why people voted for Trump. They don't understand why people want change, and they're unwilling to bend and change direction or course, if you will, in order to try to gain somebody. If they think David Hogg is going to jump in there and somehow get the white male youth vote, they're fucking high, man.
Well, they're definitely high. The question is what are they high on? And on Friday night, can I get some of that? Because, man,
seriously, dude.
Like, dude, I want
to at a long layover airport. Last time we met, last time we hooked up, we were down at AmFest, and man, you were trains, planes, and automobiles trying to get back to Florida. You're like, how long were you in the airport? Like 12 hours?
I was in the airport of Phoenix, Arizona for 12 long fucking hours, dude. It was so brutal, man. But you know what? There were some good Patriots that were at that event as well that I got to spend some time with and get to know. So it wasn't too bad. But obviously, if you could avoid a 12-hour flight delay, you would. So
absolutely.
Let's see, what else do we have here on this topic? So yeah, of course.
Let's go. What else do you want to talk about? I'm down.
Marco Rubio is taking control of this USAID. So here's this too. 104. Check this out. it's kind of separate from the Rubio thing, but you know what? It's still on top, kind of on topic.
Yes.
104 DEI contracts totaling over $1 billion have been canceled thanks to Doge. If anybody's interested in getting, seeing this post or getting this image, it's from Libs of TikTok 7 hours ago. But here's the breakdown of the agency, the total number of contracts, and the value, and then the savings. So pretty cool. $1 billion. Elon says he's trying to cut $1 trillion in the first year. Do you think he could do it, Dan?
Well, he says in order to meet that goal, and people who are successful in business like that they got the big picture, but then they break it down. He's talking $4 billion a day is what he needs to cut from the federal budget. And yeah, I think he can. I guess it depends. There's going to be obviously a lot of legal action that occurs with everything that has happened so far. All the executive orders, what Doge is doing, going in, shutting down computers, changing passwords in the middle of the night and on weekends, which I think is glorious, by the way. But they're going to continue to face legal challenges throughout that. So, if some of those are going to get reversed, I'm sure, especially with DC judges. But I think that these are men.
This on your point too, Dan. Check this out.
What's that?
I just saw this right as you were saying, and I didn't want you to go too far because it directly applies. DOJ to Elon. Doge team will not. Doge team will be prosecuted. Oh, protected. Excuse me.
Protected,
no exceptions. Yes. Yeah. So it looks like they're going to get some good protection and allow them to kind of do their thing. Nobody.
Well, and they should. I mean, imagine this. You've got people that are so whack. They don't care about the efficiency of government. They don't care about the life of a baby. They don't care about criminals being in this country and killing innocent women and children and raping them and smashing their heads into the point that they're not recognizable. You've got a party that has gone so radical that they don't really believe in humanity of any kind, and then they expect to be taken seriously. How can they be taken seriously when you've got, for instance, and I'm just going to, if you don't mind, I'm going to show this real quick because I don't know how you can be taken seriously when you jump up on a platform like Chucky, little old Chuck Schumer did. And you jump in with something like, I'm not going to find it. Never mind. I was going to try to be cute there, but it failed. Oh, wait, here it is. How about this one?
And now I'll show you my next trick. Okay? I'll drink one Mexican beer. Okay? Most of it, Corona here, comes from Mexico. And I'm shoving this up my ass. I just wanted to protest like the Mexicans. And this is all I could come up with. I hope it's okay with you guys.
So, when you have stuff like that come out, I don't know how you can take these people seriously.
Dude, I don't know who made that, but that is a huge W for whoever created that one. Did you create that?
Oh, no.
I was going to say, man, that is some skill. Wow. So, all right, Dan, here's another one for you. I want to get this is a totally separate topic, but I would like to just get your thoughts on it. Anna Paulina Luna, we love her. She is calling for mandatory drug tests of members of the House and the Senate. And to be honest, I think this would be great. Here's why. At least vote on it because I want to see who votes no. I don't really care if it gets passed or not. I'm more curious on where the no votes are going to come from.
Are you going to show it? Oh, there it is.
No, it's not a video. It's just it's just a thought.
Here I am. I'm just sitting here being stupid, waiting for the video. So.
No, you're good.
Yeah, where are the no votes going to come from? I don't know.
But whoever's a no vote is clearly using and abusing crack cocaine in the back of Congress because and that's the thing too. You know how there's late night voting? You're going to tell me that nobody's ever shown up drunk to late night vote? There should be a breathalyzer before people vote.
Yeah, well, you mentioned Canada and Mexico taking the knee. Faster than Kamala Harris even. And so it's, I don't know what you do with that, but you're talking about, I don't know why I came up with that. You said blowing into a tube, a breathalyzer. So that's where my mind went. Sorry.
Oh, no. I was saying with the with voting, I would like to see.
So messing.
Oh, you're messing with me?
I'm messing around, man. Sorry about that.
Oh my God, I took you too serious. See, this is what happens. Look, this show is live, baby. We'll do it live. Damn it.
That's right.
Who was that? Bill O'Reilly?
Yeah. I see a bunch of nunchucks in the chat. I see CW, TV Green, Terry Nunn. Nice.
Yeah, Jason stands for truth in there. What's going on, guys? Moon 67. Thanks for being here. Ted Williams. Great group of Patriots over on the Rumble chat. So if you're watching on X, head over to the Rumble chat. You can talk to some great Patriots over there. So Dan, I've got one more topic, and if you want to stick around for it, I'd love to have you.
Sure, man. I'm game.
It's a quick one. So
if you can put up with me, I'm good.
Yeah, so we've got what's his name? Who's the governor of New Jersey? Murphy.
Yeah.
Did you see that today?
I did. I was show prepping. I didn't digest it, but we'll give it a shot.
This guy says that he's got illegals in his basement or in his attic. Check this out.
Talking about, I don't want to get into too much detail, but there's someone in our broader universe whose immigration status is not yet at the point that they are trying to get it to. And we said, you know what, let's have her live at our house above our garage. And good luck to the feds coming in to try to get her. Talking about,
yeah,
I don't want to get into too much detail.
And what are you going to do, Phil Murphy? Stand there all gung-ho? I don't think so, dude. And you basically just told them that you're aiding and abetting an illegal to hide out. Like, this is ludicrous to me. It's really, really emotional. And it's Trump derangement syndrome 101, just to be very simple about it. I mean,
you know, Tom Homan at some point is going to have to, he said, look, if somebody is obstructing, that is, they're breaking a federal law and we will arrest them. I don't care if they're a governor, if they're a mayor or what they are. And I kind of have a little internal pool going on. Is it going to be Katie Hobbs? Is it going to be the mayor of Denver? Is it going to be Newsom? And we can add this guy into the mix too. You just can't do that. And the fact they're out there publicizing this is insane and reckless. Do you see all the death threats against Doge too that came out on Reddit? These people are just they don't respect the rule of law because they make it up as they go. They don't live in a reality because they make their own reality, whether it's their sexual identity or whether they want to identify as a plant or whether, whatever it is, they just make it up. There's no moral absolutes. And when you live in a universe where there are no moral absolutes, I mean, you end up with complete depravity. And these people are an example of that. That's why when I talk about demonic activity and demons are real, this is a great example of that. How can you sit there and he just admitted to a crime in a public forum?
It's literally crazy. And you know what? I do have one more because it is craziness, but it's right when you think you've seen it all, they go and fucking top it. It's
crazy, dude. Oh, this guy.
We're finding out ways to expedite this. Because of our gender balance provisions on this next ballot, you will be able to vote for 2 candidates of any gender on the next ballot. Okay? So on this next ballot, you will be able to vote for 2 candidates of any gender on the next ballot. If 2 candidates receive, I'm going to turn to Helen to clarify this last part.
Come on up, Helen.
You are in this next ballot where you have 2 votes. As the chair has said, you may vote for 2 males, 2 females, 2 of any gender. Okay? Nope, you can't do that. You've got the balance. You could vote for 1 of any gender. Okay?
What?
Or no, non-binary gender, excuse me. It is late.
Yeah, oh, it's getting late for you, Helen. I'm sure. Let's blame it on the time of the day, Helen. You wouldn't have been able to fucking explain that if it was 1 PM, Helen. That's the problem. So,
dude, they had a couple of lunch martinis and then a couple of more for happy hour, and then went to this vote, and then they got confused by their own gender identity confusion. It's like they confused themselves. They couldn't even figure it out themselves.
they're writing the law, and it goes back to something as stupid and simple as, well, then what's a woman? What's a woman then? They still can't answer it, and we've been asking them for 4 fucking years. They still can't answer that question, but they will eventually, dude.
When I saw that, and then I saw the what was going on at the whole DNC thing. I mean, the way they elect their leadership and go through that forum, I was like, are you really? This is a real thing. This is how they do that. I had no idea. I'd never really watched that before, and I was like, yeah, this is bad shit.
It was bad, dude. It was bad. But all right, we're going to wrap things up here tonight. Guys, Dan, thank you so much for being here, coming on, man. It's always a pleasure being able to have you on the show. I love going on the Nunn Report as well, getting to hang out with you and the Nunchucks over there. Awesome group of patriots that you've got. You've got one of the best, if not the best, live chat on Rumble, dude. I got to tell you, it's awesome.
Thanks, man. I love our chat, and if someone wants to join in on that chat and Truth, Freedom, and Weirdness, you can go to, of course, rumble.com/the Report. We're on live weekdays at 3 Eastern time, live weekdays at 3 Eastern time, exclusively on Rumble. So if you want to do that, you got to go to Rumble. Appreciate a channel follow or whatever there, and we would see you. And the replays are always available, of course, too.
Hell yeah, love it. Well, Dan, thanks a lot, bro, for being on. I really appreciate you. Value your time, man. And we'll catch up soon, and we'll be in touch.
Peace.
Later. Dan Nunn, host of the Nunn Report. Thank you to Dan for being here. Very generous with his time. Great dude. Great patriot. Make sure you guys are following Dan on X, please. If you're watching on X, almost got 4,000 people that tuned in on X tonight. So if you are still hanging around, give Dan a follow at the Nunn Report. That's NUNN Report US. Don't forget the US. But all right, great show here tonight, everybody. We got a chance to talk with Maurice, the Native Patriot. We got a chance to hang out with Dan from the Nunn Report. We talked about a lot, the quote-unquote trade war, Mexico's response, Canada's response, Zelensky on missing 50% of the funds that Congress has sent over, USAID, and the political corruption that is happening within that organization. We talked about Anna Paulina Luna and, of course, Governor Murphy and his scandal keeping illegals in his attic, whatever he's doing. I don't know. Crazy stuff. Great show. This is always airing live on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Live with Chris's World every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are live on X. We are live on Rumble. We are live on YouTube as well as of last week. Our shorts blew up. We had one short that got like 10 million hits on YouTube, and we got like 8,000 subscribers in 2 days. So voila, we got a little over like 12,000, I think, YouTube subscribers now. So if you're watching on YouTube, like, share, subscribe, do what you do on YouTube. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll be back tomorrow night for another episode of Live with Chris's World. Have a blessed evening. I'll see you then. Take care.